Hello and welcome to my introduction of the challenge, and I'm just going to do something because of it will be easier for me to show you what I want to do. Basically, this episode is going to be a tactics and tips video for the challenge. The aim is to get to Rome as fast as possible, but as you can tell, Rome is quite substantially defended, and then you also have to get past Julii, which can be difficult to get from there to there. One idea is to simply abandon all settlements bar one unit and just march down to Rome, ignoring everything and just go there. The problem is with that is the economy isn't spectacular at all. So you have to be wary of that. The other tactic, well, there are others as well, but the next tactic which I shall mention, in other words, tactic number 2, is that you still have a stronghold in Germany, but weak, and what you do is you take all of the rebel settlements around Germany, so you've got the economy base and the units and the infantry, and then you have enough to take Rome. Now that is good and bad. The reason why it's good is because you've got the economy if you lose. It's bad because of it takes time. Also, the Germans have another problem, which just makes the challenge a little bit harder. The enemy factions. Britain will go to war with Germania. It's guaranteed. There's no point in even trying and believing that it won't happen. It just will. Gaul is questionable. Gaul may go to war with you, Gaul may not. I believe if Britain attacks, Gaul will attack. That's what I've experienced recently. So you may want to weaken them instead of going for the rebel settlements. But again, that takes time, and what you don't want is the Julii faction just to get bigger and bigger and bigger and have more economy, more troops. One sec. Right, sorry about that. As I was saying, you don't want them to get bigger because they've got Hastati. Hastati are easy to deal with, but imagine if they start to bring Principes and Triarii. The battles which you will face are a lot harder, and considering you'll have to face Triarii, Principes in Rome, it's gonna be a lot harder. And also, another thing which brings to mind is once you go and take a rebel settlement or a settlement, what do? Do you exterminate the population? Do you enslave, occupy? Occupy will possibly mean that they won't riot, and you'll have the population to retrain. Enslaving will mean other settlements get the population, which means you can recruit elsewhere. But what you don't want is to take a settlement up here and you hope all of the slaves go to this settlement because of it's closest to Rome. But what actually happens is it goes to this one. Well, it's spread out evenly, but it doesn't really help having the slaves over here, having the extra population over here. You want them as close to Rome as possible so you can recruit units as close to Rome as possible and just attack. Now, the advantage with taking the rebel settlements is, other than the economy, is look what you can do. If you take this rebel settlement, Segestica, Massilia, this place, I'm not attempting to pronounce, you can flank Rome from 3 directions. By sea, by land, and by sea. It also happens if you get here. And also, if you get these settlements, it will make sure you are able to check how strong Brutii is, so they don't surprise you and bring an army around and attack you, or upwards and attacks, which would be devastating if you were doing the abandon Germany and just blitzkrieg. So there you have it. There are numerous tactics in that rant, but there you go. I'll just go in conclusion bits. Tactic number 1 was abandon Germany, abandon all hope, and go for Rome, and hope, even though you've just abandoned it. Oh well, and hope that everything works well. While taking, let's say if you go from here and go downwards, like that, and then across, to get to Segesta, which would be the weakest settlement. Exterminate, then here. Tactic number 2 was taking the rebel settlements around Germania and around Italy. Benefits are the economy is good, you've got a lot more reinforcements incoming, you can flank potentially with navies, well, with disembarkments of armies from navies, and you can bring I've already said that, sorry. Unfortunately that takes time, and with the Blitz, with the just abandoning all hope in Germany, the problem is, if you lose one fight, you're dead. There's no hope. So that's the main worry, concern, which that tactic brings. It would be quite interesting to see how many YouTubers do that sort of tactic. The next tactic, which would be tactic number 3, which is kind of similar to tactic number 2, is taking Britain and Gaul and a few rebel settlements. Likewise with tactic number 2, economy is very good. You you benefits as well. You won't have to worry about Britain and gold when you leave Germany. Disadvantages, it's taking even longer, so Julia are just gonna get more powerful, and it would be harder to measure the strength of all of the Romans because of this thing. Just does not help at all. If I had actually pressed 1 turn or 10 turns or whatever, it just doesn't really say anything, which is highly annoying. But there you have it. That is my introduction video with tactics and tips. Well, actually, that would be the tactic side. I haven't done the tips yet. So let's do the tips now. So tips are: the spy is the most important person you can ever have. You may think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. I go in, I spy, I attack, I assault immediately. I don't have to worry about sieging and so on and so forth. Okay, I may still siege, but it just means that I don't have to wait a turn if the odds are extremely in my favour, like 200 to 1 or something like that. And second tip is, depending on which tactic you're going for, if you were going for tactic number 1, tip would be exterminate population with every settlement which you get. Make sure it doesn't riot first turn, and then abandon that city and go on to the next. And just continue doing that until you take Rome. Okay, now with tactic number 2, that would have to be a mix of occupy and enslave and exterminate, because of the rebel settlements have no population, so occupying them, there's no cultural hatred going on. With Londinium, if you go that far, exterminate, population high, more money. Same with Alicia. And with the Roman settlements, exterminate, more money, and you get to kill all of the Romans who, let's just say, are very unhappy with having you overlords. Then the next is, with tactic number 3, well actually that was tactic number 3, tactic number 2 would just be occupy until you get to Rome and then exterminate. Okay, there you go, that's the tips part of the video, so there you go, that's my introduction. And it was 15 minutes long. Huzzah!